saying that Manchester United have decided to sack Erik Ten Hag after the FA Cup final against Manchester City. Now, interestingly, Simon Stone, who, just to kind of preface this, means this is the line he's got from the club, because he would have gone to speak to the club. He said, I can't be bothered with the whole impression for the whole article. I'll be here for 24 hours. He said, Manchester United manager Erik Ten Hag is preparing for the FA Cup final, not knowing where the reports that he will be sacked, no matter what the results are true. KG, thoughts?
It's mental, because it's like we know less now. Smile, KG. We know less, you know. Is it over? Only God knows. You know, that's the honest truth. Like, we don't know where this is going. We don't know if he, like, it seems like he is. It seems like someone's leaked this, but then I kind of was resigned to the, you know, the young on Fjortov comments. When that came out, I said, okay, well, they told him time ago, this, that, and the other. But BBC will do their due diligence. They're not going to put anything out for no reason. So them coming out now and saying, listen, Ten Hag is in the dark about this, just makes it look more shoddy. It makes it look a bit more embarrassing. It makes it look like LVG 2.0, like we haven't learned from this, you know. And again, like, my fingers are still crossed. Again, it's Man United first above anything. Now, Ineos have to just get decisions right. This is a big decision they're making. So far, they've looked good with things. This is a bit worrisome. It is, in terms of how they're, because now we look like schoolboys. First of all, there's been emails sent to Dan Ashworth, which was like an embarrassment, really. On top of that, there's conversations with McKenna like weeks ago. Everything we're doing right now, and we're doing stuff that we're not supposed to really be doing. This is like, it's gardening leave. So now then you're telling me the next move is, it's like the triple threat of the next move we've done is said the day before, the day before an FA Cup final, the most biggest game of Man United's life, to throw that out to the players and say, it's distracting. If whatever happens in this result, don't try. The manager's gone anyway. That's mental. Message, yeah. It's a bad message. It is, like, even like you basically said, no matter what you do, it's futile. Like, because, and I know they probably would try, but then you can't. Stability is important for players. They say they need that. So now you're telling me that they don't know, their future is really up in the air. Just like everyone, all the staff at Old Trafford, all the staff at Man United, nobody knows anything. And it's cool in the beginning, but Ineos have to do something. They have to come out and address some stuff as soon as possible.
Well, it ain't going to be now.
I think to be honest, I think the players' future is up in the air regardless of what happens. A lot of those, I mean, we said it in the show, I think that hasn't come out, but saying that a lot of those players, you can go through them, that are going to be involved, whether they start or not tomorrow, going, that's probably going to be their last game for Manchester United. I think I was thinking about this once we finished up earlier on, and I was thinking that, you know, if you want to look at Ineos, what they have absolutely categorically failed at is their aim, regardless of what the timeline is. It's unbelievable that the future of someone can overshadow a cup final, but it has. From a Manchester United perspective, we're not talking about the team lineup anymore. We're talking about what's going to happen afterwards. And that is a failure on the part of Ineos. Not that they've let that leak, but that has managed to get out. The buck stops with them. And how this is all operated over the last, 48 hours, it's pretty shambolic.
It looks like they've lost control. Yeah.
New manager, whoever comes in, even if it is McKenna, are you going to give them, because rip it up, start all over again, yeah? How long are you going to give them? You willing to give them 2 to 3 years? As we said, rebuild? That's what we have to start talking about.
Someone said this to me earlier today. So, Flex, you said you're going to give Ten Hag 3 years, but look, now it's 2 and you're like, do you know what I've actually learned? It ain't necessarily about this thing of trying to write this unwritten contract of like, I will definitely give this amount or that amount. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, a season is like a minimum within like, if my man loses like the first 10 or 15 games on the bounce, something's wrong. But like, so there's permeating factors that change. Like, I just feel like to say like definite 3 years, and I don't care what happens, I'm not changing my mind. No, I will just back the manager till I feel like I can see. It's all different for everyone. Till I feel like I can see the right amount of changes for the right amount of time, and you scope it out. You add up what's been spent versus who's been brought in versus who's been let go versus injuries, versus this is first season. That there's a lot. Like, first season is usually untouchable. You have to let someone have their first season, unless, you know, the David Moyes thing. Don't get me wrong, like, cool. But I think we're too attached to this. Like, okay, so if the new guy comes in, sign this contract and say you will not change your mind until then. I'm like, well, that's just not how life works. I'm not saying that you should be able to just flip-flop after 2 minutes, of course. But if we're just taking a real look at this thing, there's just a trade-off from all aspects. A manager's job, when he comes into any job, regardless of any state of any club, is to show some buyback, is to show some level of improvement, some level of system, some level of, you know, upwards trajectory. No matter how small, it's his job. He must do it, because you go to training every day. You have these players in training. It's your instruction. It's your coaches. I don't care how bad the ship is. You should still be able to show something. It's Ineos's job, I get it, to show that they're going to back this manager and show that they're changing and give him targets and take players out the team and stuff like that. It's the player's job to show that they can carry out instructions. So it's so multifunctional. I think it's too easy, which I've actually learned. I'm saying this what I've actually learned from the Ten Hag thing, to say, I'm going to give him 3 years, no matter if it's 2.5 years of dross and 6 months of good. I'm going to give him 3 years, whether it's 1 good year and 2 bad years. At least I fulfilled the 3 years I said I was going to. No, that's not, like, football is so ever-changing. Like, you can't, I don't think we can sign up to that. I just think you have to be measured.
Do you think we can stay on this level of, like, no, like, there's no stability? Do you think we can continue doing this?
Stability needs to come.
With all the things that we're doing, like, where we're going as a club, we can't be back here in how many months again? Like, if the new guy comes in, let's say the new guy finishes 7th next season, it's not good enough. But then we couldn't just get rid of.
Depends on the context. Depends what you see. I agree. Depends what you see.
That's what I was just about to say. I was like, I think this is kind of Flex's point here, and I do think that this is a bit of a learning throughout all of this. Is we have to be very careful not to paint ourselves into a corner of the sense of, well, I said 3 years, and then what if 2 years in it's not going very well? Does that mean you're not allowed to be like, I don't know about this or whatever, because you said it was going to be 3 years? Like, there has to be, and this is something that I think that we've sort of missed a bit this season, is football is, and it always has been, a results-based business. I've said this time and time again. If you don't get results, you can't be shocked when you're under pressure. Now, obviously, then you get into the context of why you haven't got results. That's with the case of Ten Hag, isn't it? They'll go mitigating circumstances. They'll talk about the injuries. They'll talk about stuff off the pitch. They'll talk about the stuff above him with, you know, Ineos buying in and what have you. And they're valid reasons.
Which are all valid. Which are all
absolutely valid. And you can't sweep those under the carpet. But at the same time, I think for instance, you said, we can't end up here in 18 months' time? Well, we could, because whoever we bring in, if it's McKenna, if it's Thomas Tuchel, if it was Pep Guardiola, we managed to get him from Manchester City. If he didn't get the results in 18 months' time, he'd be under pressure. Because any Manchester United manager, if you don't get results, you're going to be put under pressure. And I think as well, I mean, Eric Ten Hag knows that. Eric Ten Hag, it would be the same if he was at Ajax and he didn't get, you know, results there. But it's the same at any club. If you don't get results, you're going to be under pressure. If you finish 8th in the Premier League, you're going to be under pressure.
No, but if we're going to start this whole, because now that whole, remember when we used to talk about the whole Arteta thing, right? If the next guy comes in, you're going to say, well, this is their guy. This is their almost the Edu type thingy appointment. So whatever happens, they have to stick with this person. They can't just say, look, we're going to change, especially if we decide to go young. Especially if we decide to go young, we got to say, well, now this is the process. So what we're doing potentially is we're going to reset the clock. We're about to reset the clock after end of the FA Cup final, the clock goes back. Yeah. And we're saying
already though, KG, that's the question.
True.
Did it go back when Ineos came in? Because that's my theory anyway. My theory is this idea of, we're talking, here we go again, ripping it all down. I think it was ripped down a while ago. I think it was ripped down when Ineos bought in the first place. The moment that Ineos bought in and senior people left Old Trafford, chief executive, football director, that clock's been reset a while. If anything, it's been ticking a while because clearly Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox, they've been doing meetings. Like the rebuild or the restart started a while ago. It's not after the game tomorrow. I think it started a long time ago.
I agree. I think it's really difficult to place like this timescale of absolutes, because as we've seen in football, it doesn't work in absolutes. And the thing about the Arteta thing, you're right. Once Ineos attach their name to manager X or manager Y, whoever it will be after Ten Hag, because it's looking like it's going to go that way. We still don't know yet. He could stay. Be amazing turnaround if he stays from this position. Wow, that would be incredible. But it feels to me like he's going to go. But like you said, they would probably give that guy an extra bit of leeway because it is their guy, which Ten Hag is clearly doesn't seem like he is getting. But there would still have to be some level of showing some progression. There just absolutely has to be. It's not always in the form of, like you said, you're right. If we finish 7th next year, it's not good enough. We finish 8th again, not good enough. But
Tom Huddleston is leaving as well.
I'll say this, guys. I don't know how you got feel. I would say it's over. There's so much there. I don't see how, win or lose tomorrow, all that just goes away and Eric continues. I can't see it. I think it's all over.
Yeah, it feels like when it's in transfer season, and yet you haven't heard from Ornstein, you haven't heard from Romano about the actual bid or the actual being signed on the dotted line or whatever. But you see so much about all of these other reporters and these other reports, and it's a combination of things, isn't it? It's the information from other people, and it's also the silence from the people that matter. That combined speaks noise. It speaks volumes, doesn't it? It really does. And also as well, I tell you what is quite deafening too. Tuchel or Thomas Frank and stuff like that. But realistically, it looks like it's not only is it done for Eric Ten Hag, it looks very obvious that it's going to be Kieran McKenna. Like all the other stuff
does feel like
about Thomas Tuchel getting all that's disappeared. Like really, it's like it's going to be McKenna.
KG, enter the chat.
Can I ask you if I'm in the centre, please? Am I where I need to be?
Yeah. Why have your thing gone? What's happened? What have you done?
Move to your right a little bit, KG.
Man, I don't want McKenna. I'd rather bring in. I'd rather have Ollie, and I don't want Ollie. Is what I'm saying. So I just want you to understand how the level of this is. It's like I really don't want McKenna because I feel the club is way too big. It's a different situation. You're not the coach. When you was here as the coach, bro, you were doing sparring. This is the real fight. This is the heavy lifting. I feel that for this club, as toxic as it's been, you need the right person here. And yes, we tried different managers, but if the three that's available, you can't tell me that he's the best in class. You can't tell, is McKenna better than Tuchel? You can't tell me that. Is he better than Poch? You definitely can't tell me that. I'm not like, and is he? I don't believe he's better than Ollie.
Do you see McKenna and Ollie as basically two sides of the same penny? They're one and the same because McKenna was part of that coaching stuff before.
And at least Ollie's a legend, so you can almost like it was the love that let us overlook some of Ollie's what Ollie couldn't do.